Welcome, viewers, to a tale of courage, betrayal, and the relentless march of colonial ambition. Today, we delve into the poignant saga of how the mighty Ndebele state, forged by Mzilikazi and led into its twilight by his son Lobengula, fell to the tide of imperialism in the late 19th century. The fall of the Ndebele state didn't happen overnight. By the late 19th century, pressures were mounting. Lobengula, the last king of the Ndebele, ruled a kingdom that was rich in cattle and land, but its wealth had drawn the greedy gaze of European colonial powers. British settlers, armed with ambitions of resource exploitation and expansion, saw the fertile lands of Matabele land as ripe for the taking. It all began with a stroke of a pen, a treaty steeped in deception. The drama truly unfolded in 1888 when agents of Cecil Rhodes's British South Africa Company approached King Lobengula. They offered him what seemed like a fair deal. In exchange for granting mining rights to the British, they promised Lobengula rifles, supplies, and the protection of his people's sovereignty. But the truth was far from what Lobengula had been led to believe. The infamous Rudd Concession, a deal sealed in shadows, granted sweeping powers to the British South Africa Company, effectively laying the groundwork for colonial takeover. The ink on the treaty was barely dry when settlers began flooding the region, exploiting its resources and disregarding the sovereignty of the Ndebele people. The betrayal sparked growing resentment among the Ndebele, but the final straw came in 1893 when the British deliberately provoked conflict. Skirmishes erupted, and the British declared war on the Ndebele state. The Ndebele warriors, trained in the art of battle and bound by loyalty, fought valiantly against the British forces. Imagine this. Waves of Ndebele warriors charging into battle, their shields gleaming in the sun and their voices raised in war cries. But the courage of the impis was met with the unrelenting force of modern weaponry. The British brought Maxim guns, an early version of the machine gun, which mowed down warriors in devastating numbers. By the end of the First Matabele War, Lobengula fled north, and the British forces occupied Matabele land. The kingdom's heart had been struck, but its spirit was far from broken. In the aftermath of the First Matabele War, the Ndebele people were subjected to harsh colonial rule. Land was seized, cattle were taken, and traditional structures of governance were dismantled. Yet the Ndebele spirit refused to be extinguished. In 1896, embers of resistance ignited into flames. Led by spiritual leaders such as Mlimo, the Ndebele people rose up in what became known as Matabele Rebellion. This was more than a fight for freedom. It was a fight to preserve their identity, their land, and their legacy. Imagine the scene. Warriors gathering in secret, the air thick with the chanting of rituals as they prepared to strike back at their oppressors. The uprising was fierce and coordinated, with warriors ambushing colonial outposts and reclaiming their lands. For a moment, it seemed as if the Ndebele might turn the tide, but the British, backed by reinforcements and superior firepower, crushed the rebellion. Mlimo, the spiritual leader inspiring the resistance, was killed, and the Ndebele were forced to surrender. By 1897, the Ndebele state, as it had once been, was no more. Though the Ndebele state fell, its story is far from one of defeat. The resilience of the Ndebele people, their courage in the face of overwhelming odds, and their rich cultural heritage remain an enduring testament to their strength. Even in the face of colonial conquest, the Ndebele identity survived, passed down through generations as a symbol of pride and defiance. Until next time, keep chasing knowledge.